Republican Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee sits on the House Foreign Affairs and Oversight Committees. Congressman, welcome back to the program. We appreciate you being here. I wanted to ask you about what Trump has been saying this week, and he said that immigrants are, quote, poisoning the blood of our country. What's your reaction to that? Do you agree with that?
Well, of course not. I mean, immigrants, of course, are not. That's what's one of the strong points of this entire country. Folks coming here illegally are not helping things whatsoever. You know, we've lost over 100,000 children at the border in the last 3 years. We've got criminal situations. You know, I was mayor of Knox County here in Tennessee, and at one time I had one school that had over 20 languages that spoke, and it was a school that was probably around 300 students. So it's a financial problem with this country, and I realize the folks are making the analogy that it's something maybe that Hitler had said. You know, I have one rule in my office that says you never compare anything to the Holocaust or Hitler except the Holocaust or Hitler, because of the horrendous nature of that time period.
Well, the White House is making that comparison. President Biden is making that comparison, his campaign is. But if you do look at verses in Mein Kampf, Hitler's manifesto, Hitler does talk about the blood of countries being poisoned by people that are not wanted in that country. It says in a chapter, this is in the New York Times about a couple of months ago, in a chapter titled Race and People, Hitler wrote, "All the great civilizations of the past have became decadent because the originally creative race died out as a result of the contamination of the blood." Do you think Trump should knock this off?
Well, any kind of comparison to Mein Kampf, I think, is pretty horrendous. Actually, I wasn't there. I didn't hear what he said. I honestly, this is about the first I've heard of it, because I just don't follow the national media maybe as well as I should. But yeah, any of that comparison, I don't know if that does us any good, but the reality is he's touched upon a nerve that this illegal immigration thing has caused. I mean, you have Democrat, as well as I do, you have Democrat folks, New York, in the New York City and New York State, both stating, in fact, that they have we got to do something about this horrendous problem we have. And when I see veterans go without their benefits, that possibly someone who's here illegally is getting, to me, we've got the cart before the horse, and we need to address it. But
would you want to be on a campaign stage with the former president if he's saying something like immigrants poisoning the blood of the country, or even undocumented immigrants are poisoning the blood of the country?
Well, that's extreme for me. Completely. I would not have chosen those words.
And would you support Trump if he wins the nomination? Have you made up your mind on that?
If he wins the nomination, absolutely. Absolutely. We have a
even if he's saying things like poisoning the blood of the country and dictator for one day and all of that, doesn't that concern you, that he's using this kind of extremist talk out on the campaign trail?
You well know I'm from East Tennessee, and we don't usually talk like that. And he's from New York, and that's the way folks. He's Trump being Trump. It's campaign bravado. You get up on stage, you're feeding off the audience, and you just let it rip. And that's exactly what he does. And that's frankly that's why a lot of people like him. That's why you're seeing his numbers are going up. Even to me,
it's not just campaign talk, is it? It's something different, isn't it?
I don't think he's going to be. Yeah, you got a lawyer everywhere you turn in the White House or in Congress. There's no way in the world he's going to be a dictator for a day, Jim. You know that, and I know that. There's so many stopgaps in place. You just can't. It just
tried to overturn the last election, and he's calling January 6th prisoners hostages.
Well, the treatment they're receiving, he does, and again, he touches on another nerve. You had rioters that did billions of dollars of damage across this country, police stations, federal courthouses, and you're not seeing them brought to trial or anything, if anything, probation. Yet There's people that are still locked up in D.C. that are awaiting a trial. And to me, I think that's a miscarriage of what the founders had in mind when they talked about a quick and speedy trial.
Well, let me ask you about what's been happening up on Capitol Hill. You and other House lawmakers left Washington for the holidays, leaving a lot of stuff unfinished. Military aid for Ukraine and Israel, immigration. Is that acceptable to you?
Well, of course, what's unacceptable to me is that H.R. 2 was passed to secure our border, and yet the Democrat-controlled United States Senate won't even take it up. You know, there's multiple pieces of legislation that have gone over there, and it's unacceptable to me that you're going to tie what's going on in Israel to what's going on to Ukraine and our own border. This White House and the Democrats in control don't want to address our own border, but yet want to spend $114 billion to Ukraine to strengthen their border between Russia and Ukraine. I have a real problem with that, and tying any of those bills. That's one of the, you know, as well as I do, that's one of the major problems with Washington. That's why we're $33 trillion in debt. It's because everybody gets what they want, and then they load it up with junk and spending packages that we don't need. I would say send every one of those bills. Send us a border bill, which we already have passed, H.R. 2. Let the Senate bring that up. But you're going to leave the
Israelis and the Ukrainians in the lurch?
I would not we're not leaving the Ukrainians in the lurch by any shape, form, or fashion. Well, Europe needs to step up. What they're doing in their accounting is they're saying all these refugees that they're taking from Ukraine, that's counting in their dollars and cents, where this country takes refugees and sends them $114 billion. As far as Israel goes, we can send them aid, and we've got our, everybody forgets, but we've got our aircraft carrier fleet over there, one of the largest in the world. We've got submarines in the Med.
But can't you walk and chew gum at the same time? Why not try to get all of this done? Get the border done, get Ukraine done, get Israel done. I mean, less than 24 bills have made it into law this year. Is that correct? I mean, what do you say to people at home who want to send Congress a lump of coal this year?
I would say send them 2 lumps of coal. I'm tired of rushing to Washington to name post offices, but I'm also tired of giving away our civil liberties, which we just did this past week with the NDAA, where we added on the FISA courts, which allows, when they're in fact spying on folks that are from other countries, allows them the back door. And this is literally thousands of times the FBI has done this and violated American civil rights by doing it. So, yeah, there's a lot of problems there. But a lot of people would tell you we got enough laws on the books. We need to, the majority of my time I spend is dealing with constituents that are having problems with places like the VA. And when you try to address it, people say, "Oh, you're voting against money for veterans," when we've gone out of control spending on our Pentagon, which has failed 5 audits. In the history of audits, they never passed another audit yet. What did we do this year? We were billions more dollars. We got some real problems, and spending is at the top of it.
All right. Well, we'll tackle that next time, Congressman. Thanks very much for your time. We appreciate it. Happy holidays.
Jim, have a Merry Christmas.
All right. Appreciate it.